the last little chunk of this. So how to create an idea ecosystem. So this part is less about like the specific steps that you can take, and hopefully through everything we've covered, you have something that you can grab onto and use, because the real goal, like I've definitely done these creative workshops before where you get out of it and it's like you feel really great and free and whatnot, and you've drawn on newsprint with markers and blah, blah, blah. But fundamentally, the next day, nothing has changed. You just loosened up for 10 minutes for whatever reason, because it was like work required you to do that. I think like you can change your process almost immediately and see results. I'll share one quick thing with the bed no diagrams. The reason I started doing them is I was teaching a class and I was asking students about their process and realized everyone's process was some variation on I haphazardly work and hope for the best. Like, that's what it was. And I was listening to it and I was like, this is awful. Like, everyone in this room is clueless. They don't know when they're gonna have an idea. They don't know how to have an idea on purpose. And they're describing the same process I use. Like, I don't have better advice for them than the terrible way that they're working already. Kind of over that summer, I was like, I have to start working differently. And the first freelance project I got was basically this process. And I think you asked about like getting stuck on one idea. That first project, I pushed everything a day later than I would normally want to do. So I did a day's worth of research, more than I wanted to do. Once I started doing the listing, I was like, this should take 4 hours. I pushed it for a solid day. The next day was the sketching. I pushed that. Like, I kept having exciting ideas, and I was like, no, more. And they just kept pushing everything past, like amplifying it basically. And immediately, like, that had results. It wasn't like an iterative thing, like, oh, one project was like this, and the next project was like this, and the next project I did this. It was literally like I took one project and said, I'm gonna do this thing differently than I normally do it, and the results were sort of instantaneous. That poster with the tracking stuff was the second project I had done that way. That presentation to the client had 10 different ideas in it, none of which were things I would have come up with on my own. So it was very much like, well, like switched on, like, holy shit, everything is different. So I think if you can find something you can use in here, when you figure out how to slot it into the way that your brain works, you should be able to run with it very quickly, like if you're willing to. It also requires being willing to do a project differently than you've normally done it, and maybe it doesn't turn out awesome. And like accepting, well, I tried something different with like an open mind, and it turned out weird, fine, who cares? Even Dr. Seuss wrote The Cat in the Hat Comes Back. That book sucks. You know, like sometimes people do bad work. It's gonna happen.